Hey everybody, this is FANDOMversity Talk Near to Me. I'm Michael.
And I'm Cyrus.
And today we're going to do a spoiler-filled book versus movie comparison of scary stories to tell in the dark. And my expert here is Cyrus. He's read all the books and
he's
also
grade.
In third grade and since then he's listened to the audiobooks.
I'm sure I was too young to read them. But I read them anyway. My teacher was like 60 and he gave everybody a book.
He had this teacher, Mr. Lord, who gave everyone a book, and Cyrus just fell in love with it, and then from there he got into Goosebumps. Yeah,
other scary stuff.
So this was his first actual horror movie that I would consider a real horror movie.
Yeah, it's frightening.
And if you want to hear what we thought of the movie, check out our other video, our Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark movie review. So, the big thing is this book series, it's 3 books, are a collection of short stories. There's no overall plot line.
Yeah, it's just multiple stories combined into one book. Or 3 books.
This movie has an overall plot, and the scary stories
are just put into the
plot. Yeah. So, we've got Toe Monster, Jingling Man, Scarecrow, and the Pale Woman.
And there's a ghost.
And spiders. Haunted mansion, and spiders. Yeah. So we're going to talk about those, and we're going to talk about what happened in the movie versus what happened in the book.
The book, which is way darker. It would have been rated R if they went just straight on with the book.
Oh, yeah. Definitely would have been bloody and gory. Yeah. So we're going to start with the first monster. No, let's go back. Let's start with the house.
Whoa. Okay.
There's a haunted mansion book.
Yeah, the haunted house, and it's in the very first book.
So in the movie, it's the house that the main characters go into on Halloween night because they're running for some bullies and they go to play in there / hide. Yeah. It belonged to a rich family that owned the mill of the town. And they have this daughter that they mistreated and beat. And she
abused her.
She was pale and had white hair. She had albinoism. And they locked her in the basement and she would tell children scary stories through the wall. And those children would disappear. Well, you find out later. Again, this is spoiler-filled.
Spoiler warning if you missed it.
They were dying from the mill was poisoning the water, so it was actually her family's fault, and she was trying to expose them, and they abused her more for it. After she dies, she
puts her blood into this book and then wrote stories to destroy her family.
These stories would come true. I think she wrote some of them before she died.
Yeah. That didn't come true, probably.
Well, no, because those people went missing, too. Yeah. Those people went missing, too. So we don't know 100% what happened to them.
I think there might be a prequel, hopefully.
But... So she's filled with rage, and she's going on a killing spree by killing people through these stories by creating monsters. So they go into the mansion, and...
The 2 boys just run off playing.
The 2 boys are Augie and Chuck. They run off playing, scaring each other. And the main character, Stella, and her new friend, Ramon.
Who's mistreated for his skin.
He's Mexican, and the town's kind of mistreating him, but he's also a draft dodger, so he's on the run. They find a secret entrance to the basement where Sarah, the mistreated daughter, lived her life out before she was transferred to a psychiatric hospital and killed herself. What I found funny is that no one's ever found this room before, and he's like, "What's this? A secret door!" That was kind of silly.
And he just somehow had a knife in his pocket. He could have stabbed the...
Oh, yeah, they're all expert lock pickers. He's like, "Here's a knife." The lock. Earlier, the guy's like, "Here's a pen." Picks a lock. Talking about an ink pen. So anyways, they go down in the room, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's true. Sarah's real." What? And Stella finds the book. And
she loves horror stuff.
It awakens the ghost, and she brings it with her. So that's the story of the mansion. Oh, and...
the book.
Hold on, another thing. Chuck.
That's scary.
That was creepy.
It won't turn on. Mom, are you scaring us?
Hold on.
There we go.
Okay, our breaker flipped during our Scary Story to Tell in the Dark comparison.
We just told a scary story, and like, no, tell it in the dark.
So anyways, Chuck, he goes in the closet to scare
His
Augie.
friend.
He's gonna jump out. Woo!
Woo!
Hitting the camera. But he like peeks through the door, and suddenly he's in the past, and there's an old lady and a dog. And he's like, oh my gosh. And he closes it, and then his friend opens it, and he's back at normal time.
He's like, what?
Super random, has nothing to do with the overall plot, but
Yeah.
yeah.
He's like, what?
So that's pretty much that part of the mansion story, and then there's more later on.
But in the book, it's about a priest going to the mansion because people thought it was like scary. But then the ghost comes out and she's like, hey, this person murdered me for money and abused me and then killed me.
You said it was your husband?
Yeah. And so she said, bury my bones and like put money in there. So he buries her, puts money in there. And then the husband comes, tries to pick the money. And then his finger just gets ripped off. And then the police are like, hey, you're the person that killed her. So they hang him. And then the priest is like, I saved you. And then the priest gets money.
Yeah, so really, those two stories are probably the biggest haunted house, like, monster differences. The rest of those characters are very similar. The stories might be different. Yeah, so that one has nothing to do with this haunted house.
Because at the end of the movie, the kid reads, oh, the haunted house. I'm like, oh, that's a story.
Yeah. The next villain or monster story,
thing, which is horrifying,
is Harold the Scarecrow.
Harold the Scarecrow.
Which was played by Mark Steger, who also played the Pale Lady, by the way. Same person.
Yeah, he works with Guillermo del Toro.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how to say
Guillermo
his
del
name.
Toro. Yeah, he awesome. That's awesome. So in the movie, he's in it very shortly. So he's a scarecrow, creepy looking scarecrow. Scarecrow, right here.
Just like in the book.
He looks exactly like he does in the book.
Yeah.
So he comes to life.
But like the girl just rips it and she's like, oh, blood.
Well, the story writes itself, and then it happens. And the bully, it's his parents' farm. Scarecrow, he's always been throwing beer bottles and whacking it with baseball bats and stuff.
And he's drunk at this time.
He's drunk, and he's going to deliver eggs.
So he's probably...
Because that's a good thing to do when you're drunk.
Crazy?
Yeah. So the Scarecrow, he keeps getting lost in the cornfield and ends up back up at the Scarecrow. Yeah. And then, like, the third time, the Scarecrow's off
He's like...
the pole. And then he sees the Scarecrow, like, coming for him, and the Scarecrow's like... and he starts booking it. Drunk booking it.
He trips over
what's he trip over? A pitchfork.
Yeah. He's like, ugh, I trip over this.
And the Scarecrow catches up to him, and he's like... He doesn't say anything. And the bully's like, Oh, wait, no, the Scarecrow didn't pick up the pitchfork. The bully picked it up.
Yeah.
And stabbed the Scarecrow, and the Scarecrow's like...
I made a hay.
Rips out the pitchfork, stabs the kid.
And the kid, it's like somehow when it stabs, there's no blood, it's just hay.
Yeah.
He's like, what?
So the kid starts running. He's like,
and there's like hay.
He's puking hay.
And then he looks at his hand and it's turning to hay.
It was done very well, and
Yeah.
he turns to a Scarecrow.
He falls on the floor and he's dead. But then the next day,
he's
they
missing.
see him.
So that's the whole Scarecrow scene.
For the movie.
Now what's the book?
In the book, these two farmers make this scarecrow to scare off birds, and they named it after this farmer that they hate called Harold. So they beat him up, talk trash about him, beat him up a lot, and they realize he's getting bigger, he's running, and so they're like, oh gosh, we should throw him in the fireplace. And the other farmer's like, no, because we're stupid. And so the next day, they're just they see him walking on the roof, and they're like, and they walk inside. And so every day he goes to the corner of the field. Like, okay, we gotta kill him. They they think they killed them. So they go to this. They milk cows, and then they go back home. They go back to the forest.
How did they think they killed him the first time?
Because they like stabbed them.
Oh.
And so they see these stools that they accidentally left, and they're like, all right, let's see who goes. And they did a game, and the person went, and the other person is like, okay, I'm going to pick up these 2 stools. And so he walked home, and then he sees Harold just skinning his friend. And then he's like, and then the story ends.
Oh, okay. So he fillets him.
Yeah.
I didn't really get what you were saying about the stools and the game.
Yeah, there was like a stool that they forgot to bring home because they were milking cows.
Oh, so they did like rock, paper, scissors to see how to bring a
Yeah.
stool home or something. Okay, so there you have it. Pretty short still.
It was
Fillet.
Or
Someone
fu-
was filleted.
He got skinned.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one we see is
Big toe.
the story of the Big Toe. They just call the monster the Toe Monster, played by Javier Botet. In the movie,
Here's the photo of him. I don't know the picture.
right here,
Yeah. There's the picture of the Big Toe from the movie.
and then here's the book.
Yeah.
So, in the movie, this guy Augie, he's on the phone with his mom, and they're arguing because his mom and I guess stepdad or mom's boyfriend's on a road trip. He's like, I'm not calling him dad. I'm just gonna eat this stew.
What stew?
Yeah, and he's like, I don't know, someone made random stew. I'm gonna eat mystery stew that no one knows where it came from. Come from.
Yeah, it was disgusting, that scene.
So he puts it on the stove, and he's gonna start eating it cold for some reason. I don't get that. Who eats cold stew?
I think he was cooking it while he was calling his friend.
I don't know, but his friend called him on the walkie-talkie, and they're like, don't eat anything.
Don't eat stew. Don't eat anything. If there's stew in your fridge, sucks to be you. Don't eat
and
it.
he thinks they were playing a prank on him, and they're like, you're gonna hear someone say, Who took my toe? There you go. Who took my toe? He's like, no, you guys are lying. I'm gonna eat this stew. And then he like takes a big bite of it, and then he's like, and he pulls a toe out of his mouth.
Disgusting. He throws the pot onto the floor, and then
there's
there's
an
like an
eyeball.
eyeball. He's like, ah!
And then he hears, Who took my toe? I sounded really bad.
Who took my toe?
So he's like, holy hell. So he's like running through the house, like, where do I go? And he sees it. It's like a zombie. And he runs into his room and slams the door, slides under his bed, and he's hiding under the bed like this.
And then the door opens.
The door opens. Nothing.
He looks around. He's like,
He's looking around. So he slowly crawls out, and he flips around, and he starts to lift himself up to look on top of the bed. As soon as he looks on top of the bed, nothing's there. He gets sucked right under the bed, grabs the ground, scrapes the ground.
That was the only time he jumped.
They did it very well, and he was sucked into like
the wall
into nowhere land. So how was that in the book?
So this kid found just like this thing in the ground. He's like, oh, okay. He plucks it out. He doesn't see the other toe, so he goes home. He's like, hey, Mom, Dad, look. And then they're like, we should have this for dinner. So they cook it. They serve it to everybody. They eat it.
Must have been a big toe.
Yeah. So it's probably with like carrots and other stuff. So he goes to bed, he's sleeping, and then he hears somebody say, where's my toe? He's like, what? And then he hears it coming upstairs with the creaking. He's like, oh no, where's my toe? He comes into the room, he's like, what? And then he's like, why do you have such big jaws? He's like, to eat your face off. And then he eats his face off.
And then it's over?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a horrible story.
It's like, why is your teeth so big so I can chomp on your face? Why is your mouth so large so I can eat you? Don't you hear me?
Okay, well, enough about the big toe monster.
Toe monster.
The next thing we get into is the spiders, right?
And I'm in the bathroom.
So,
I can't see. I don't like spiders. Or
when it gets
whiskers.
to the climax of the scene, Cyrus is like, "I have to pee," and
On
he
purpose.
ran so fast to the
I was like,
bathroom.
"Ah!"
He missed this entire scene
I was like, I can't watch
because
this. I remember.
he's a pansy.
I remember the book. In the book, there was like this picture of a girl just like, and then there's blood dripping down her face. It's only in black and white. It's not gory.
It's what's her name again? Ruth, played by Natalie
Sucks to be you.
Ganshorn. She's Chuck's older sister. She ends up in the haunted house earlier. Her boyfriend is actually the bully. He pushes her into the room, and she gets bit by a spider. So it looks just like a pimple, and she's sitting there. They're at the high school, and she's getting her makeup done. She's about to perform a musical.
And a different girl's like, you should get that done.
You should take care of that. And so she runs to the bathroom, and now it's like the size of a golf ball, and it's just like throbbing. And she's like freaking out. And then you see movement in it, and she's like, "Oh!"
she did that.
And then, well, it was a little better than that. And then a spider foot sticks out of a hole in the wound, and she touches it. And the
I
foot's
remember in the trailer, she's like,
move, and she's freaking out. And then she goes into the corner, and then it starts just like, and then it busts open, and then like a million spiders are just all over her, and luckily the gang that's trying to stop all the evilness, has the book, rushes in and pours water on her to get the spiders off. No, because there's spiders everywhere, and they take her out of the bathroom.
I remember I came in and she was screaming. I'm like,
yeah, they actually saved her life. She's one of the few characters that got attacked by a monster that didn't die.
Spider.
That got attacked by a scary story. So she lived to tell the tale. And you don't see her again until like the end of the movie, and she has like a big scar on her face.
Yeah.
So what was the story like in the book? Did you read that story, or did you look at the picture?
Yes, I read the story. So I think it's in the third one. And so she wakes up. She has a spider bite. She's like, okay, it's fine. Hope I don't get dead. And she goes to her mom. She's like, hey, look. Her mom's like, don't touch it. Don't scratch it. It's a spider bite. You might bleed to death. So she's like, okay. She goes to school. She's like,
I'm scratching it.
She goes to the bathroom. She's like, and then it busts open and like thousands of spiders. She's like, and she falls onto the floor and passes away.
Oh, she dies?
Yeah.
And then it's over?
Yeah.
Ooh, I guess you're not supposed to scratch your spider bites.
Because the egg could be in it.
Whew. Okay, so after Spider is
the pale lady.
The pale lady.
But the kid's like, a fat pale lady. Because she is fat.
Here's the pale lady. And here's the pale lady from the book.
Yeah.
See, they look pretty similar. They did a pretty good job at that. In the
they did good putting costumes on.
Movie, it's Chuck. He's been having a nightmare about the Red Room. So they've broken into a hospital to steal hospital records at this point. So he's separate from his friends, and he gets caught, and he's running, and they turn on the alarm.
I'd be like, hey, I need help to get out of here.
Yeah, help me get out of here before I get murdered by a monster.
Fail Pat lady.
But, so they turn on the alarms, and then so when they do, all the lights turn red. And he's like, oh no, it's the Red Room from my nightmare.
Why did I do it? Oh, I see your...
And then he sees the pale lady. And he's like, oh crap. So he turns around and books it the other direction. Oh, pale lady's in front of him. Turns around, books it this way. Pale lady, books it this way. Pale lady. And he keeps repeating it, and the pale lady gets closer and closer and closer. I don't know why he just doesn't run straight as fast as he can at the pale lady, and then does like a movie slide past her legs. It gets behind her. Now, he freezes up, and he's like...
He's like... I think he's the kid from Shazam. He can't... He should have said Shazam.
Well, anyways, he The pale lady eventually turns into one pale lady
Yeah.
when he gets close enough, and then it hugs him and it absorbs him.
Impregnates him, I guess. Or
What? It doesn't impregnate him.
no,
It absorbed him.
and she's like, oh.
And she was full. She had a good meal. So that's
I didn't eat with my mouth. I eat my belly.
So how did it happen in the book?
So this girl's been having nightmares. She's like, what? And then after like a few weeks of having the same nightmare, she goes to a hotel. She sleeps there for a few nights. She wakes up. Oh, I have the same nightmare. She walks out the door, and the pale lady's just like,
Is the nightmare about the pale lady the whole time?
Yeah, and this is in real life. She sees the pale lady. She's like, what? You're real? And then she dies. The end was short.
I doubt she's like, pale lady! Die.
No, I think she gets...
Does she get absorbed?
Probably not. I forgot.
Okay. So we're going to apologize that Doofus here doesn't remember.
I haven't read that one. I think it's the last
We're
one.
going to put a link in the description below to an explanation of what happened in the story.
I don't remember.
So after that, Pale Lady,
and then
Jingling Man, right?
That
Jingling Man
is completely different from the book.
Isn't really in the book,
he's...
according to Cyrus. I hope you're right about these. These are going to be a really crappy video. The Jingling Man is a bunch of body parts that form together into like a freaky Silent of the Hill Jingling Man, and he basically runs after you and kills you. In the story, he breaks a cop's neck and he's trying to kill Ramon, and he calls him coward.
In the movie.
In the movie. So what happens in the book with the Jingling Man?
So he's not in the book. So this kid buys a church somehow. I don't know how rich this kid is. Because people say it's haunted and like a head falls through if you stay there until like midnight. So he stays there, and his dog starts barking at the fireplace or whatever. He's talking. But I forgot the words though.
Don't worry about it.
Untitled Walker.
Oh yeah.
Saying it over and over, and then a head falls through, and the dog just dies of fright. And the kid's like frightened, so he runs away. The end.
So in the movie, a head does fall down the chimney, and the dog is barking at it.
But it doesn't die of fright. In the movie.
He doesn't die, but the cop shoots the head like 10 times. And then he gets put back together and then breaks his neck.
And then he calls the kid a coward.
Yeah, because he's a draft dodger. What does he say? I'm trying to find...
Untitled Walker.
Whatever that means.
A thing. I don't know.
Yeah. So then that's all. That's all the scary stories.
Also, there's a song that the ghost likes, and it's actually a poem from the book.
Yeah, about like you're the next to die. It plays on 2 different music boxes with little ballerinas, little jewelry boxes. Yeah, he let me know that was a little Easter egg.
In the car. I was like, oh, that woman sang the worms crawl in and the worms crawl out. And I remember that was a poem.
So, we're going to put a few links in the description below. We're going to link you to where to buy all 3 books off of Amazon.
I want to get the other 2.
And we are going to supply a link to an explanation of the Pale Woman from the book, since I don't remember. Since we weren't able to supply a concrete one. Please, if you enjoyed this, leave a comment, Tell us what you thought of the movie, what big differences you saw, what we were wrong in our evaluation.
Yeah. I was
Um,
probably wrong a lot.
hit the bell
Maybe.
icon, subscribe, and
Share
with your friends. So thanks for watching all the way to the end. This is FANDOMversity. Talk Nerdy to Me. You can check us out on Facebook at www.facebook.com/FANDOMversity. TNTM. We're also on Instagram and Twitter at FANDOMversity.
Deadpool.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
Bye.